Hello, good morning all, and welcome back to our class of heat transfer. So yesterday, this lecture is actually applied thermodynamics 1 as per your timetable, but we are engaging this because your professor is not available due to sickness. So to fill in the slot, we are engaging this heat transfer lecture. We are also having heat transfer lecture at the end of day. That is the last lecture. That will also be carried out. So we'll be having two lectures today. Okay. So yesterday we have finished. Let me share. Let me share my screen. Yesterday we discussed about resistance theory. That through by analogy of electrical circuit. So we covered the point of electrical analogy with the heat transfer. From the electrical theory, we set up the equation just like uh, by setting up the analogy between current flow and so we obtained the thermal conduction equation in the form of uh, in the form of electric, electrical equation such as heat flow is analogous to current flow. uh, Temperature difference is analogous to potential difference or voltage difference, and thereby the thermal resistance of or material resistance is equivalent to the electrical resistance. So let me share. Then we discussed many cases of thermal resistance. First, we saw the conductive thermal resistance for a conductive thermal resistance. So, in that again, we covered three cases, these three standard cases, that is conduction through plain wall, then conduction through hollow cylinder, and conduction through hollow sphere. Thereby, we got the standard formulae, or we derived the standard formulae, such as thermal resistance for a plain wall or a flat plate, then thermal resistance for a hollow cylinder, and thermal resistance for hollow sphere. All these three formulae are standard ones, so you have to well remember them and also understand them and use them whenever it is required in solving the problems or deriving some equations. So, thermal resistance of a plain wall is given by R. Capital R means resistance is equal to B upon K for hollow cylinder. Hollow cylinder is mostly seen in case of heat transfer through pipes or tubes. So, thermal resistance in the hollow cylinder will be ln of Rho by Ri divided by 2 pi KL. So, this is again standard formula that we obtained. Then, in the same way for hollow sphere, thermal resistance is Rho minus Ri divided by 4 pi K Rho into Ri. Then we went on to discuss the convective thermal resistance. The convection, we saw the equation of convection, and then we applied the concept of thermal resistance to convection also, and thereby we obtained the thermal resistance for convection. So this is quite simple. So thermal resistance of convection is simply 1 upon HA, 1 upon H into area. Uh, with this basis, uh, we want to we want to move forward, and based on the same theory, a new concept is introduced. Let me just make it enlarge. I hope that you are able to see the screen. It should be clear, should be clearly visible. If you have any problem in that, you can put your message through chat box, or you can just notify me through the message. So I hope it is all okay. So, new term called overall heat transfer coefficient will be introduced now. Now, see what happens in practice is Whenever heat transfer occurs in practice due to temperature difference, it is never only conduction or only convection or only radiation. All three modes are working at the same time, or it is like a simultaneous heat transfer. All the modes are working at simultaneously. In practice there are many cases in which we have to handle all modes of heat transfer, and whenever such a situation occurs, uh, whenever such situation occurs, a factor called overall heat transfer coefficient will be defined, that will give us the combined effect of all three modes: conduction, convection, and radiation. So this factor gives the combined effect of all three modes. But generally it is quite common in conduction and convection, combined conduction and convection. Radiation very rarely will be involved, very rarely will be used in uh, this overall heat transfer coefficient. Sometimes it is also known as film coefficient. Uh, Now the equation, look at the equation. Heat transfer by convection is given by Q is equal to HA delta T. Uh, to introduce overall heat transfer coefficient, we are making use of the same form of equation. So when this coefficient is introduced, now this is denoted by capital U. Capital U will be used for overall heat transfer coefficient. This heat transfer equation is written in the same form of convection. Q is equal to UA delta T. So U is very similar to H. So the units of U will be the same as H. So the equation becomes Q is equal to UA delta T. Only H is replaced by uh, this factor U. Now, uh, now if we look at some composite structure, and if we apply the electrical resistance theory, we can set up the equation like this: Q is equal to UA delta T equal to delta T upon thermal resistance. Delta T upon thermal resistance. This summation R thermal means it is equivalent resistance or total resistance, because the resistances, conductive resistances and convective resistances, or even radiative resistances, all these will be either in series or parallel combination, and by uh, by evaluating them we get this value. We get this total or equivalent thermal resistance. That is why this summation or thermal symbol is used. So we can, from this we can get the relation for UA. So UA is equal to 1 upon summation R thermal. So product of U into A is always equal to reciprocal of thermal resistance, or vice versa. So, it can be summation thermal resistance is equal to 1 upon UA also. So U factor for composite structures and also for surrounding fluids, that represents the combined effect of different thermal conductivities of different materials and different heat transfer coefficients, and also it covers the geometrical parameters such as area, length, of pipe and sphere. Okay, now let us derive some equations for some standard cases. Let us take the first case of overall heat transfer coefficient U for a composite plane wall. Composite plane wall. So as you can see in the diagram, there is a composite plane wall. It means that two different materials are taken together and they are arranged like this. So this is, let us say, for example, you might consider a furnace wall. If you look at the cross section of any furnace wall, any typical furnace wall, inner wall or inner plate will be made of some metal, maybe steel or cast iron, and outer layer will be insulation. Insulation will be provided so that heat loss will be prevented. Heat transfer will be reduced from furnace to outside. let us and on this side, on left hand side there is a cold fluid, and on right hand side, sorry, on left hand side it is a hot fluid, and on uh, right hand side it is a cold fluid. Let us say this furnace wall, this is inside of furnace and this is outside of furnace. Inside of furnace, as you know, um, fuel is burnt, so exhaust gases are being generated. So this hot fluid, the the hot gases or hot exhaust gases will be hot fluid at some temperature T1, and this wall, let us say this wall is exposed to outside air, so air will be cold fluid. So thereby it will be at temperature, some temperature. We are calling it T5. Now the temperatures are set. Temperature gradient is temperature gradient is produced because of very high because of heat transfer from high temperature to low temperature, from hot fluid to from to cold fluid across this plane wall. So, for hot fluid, let us say temperature is T1 and heat transfer coefficient is H1. And for cold fluid, heat transfer coefficient is H2 and the temperature is T5. Uh, okay, so we are numbering temperatures like this in successive manner or in the order of uh, in reducing order, because for wall also, for this wall construction there will be some temperatures. Now see, this temperature T1 is the temperature of fluid, and this temperature T2 is the temperature of this face uh, at the solid wall. So T2 is the temperature at the solid face of this wall, and then T4 is the outside surface temperature of the outer wall or outer layer, and T3 is the temperature in between these two materials or these two walls. So it is an intermediate temperature. So all these will be in decreasing order, and this indicates the temperature gradient. Thicknesses are different: B1, B2. Uh, Conductivity material for this plate is K1, and the conductivity of this material is K2. And let us say amount of heat transfer is Q, which is passing from outside inside fluid to outside fluid. And since from this we can set up the equivalent thermal resistance or equivalent thermal circuit. Uh, all these materials are in succession or in they are forming a series combination because heat is flowing in a sequence from one material to other material, and next, and so on and so on. So first, heat transfer is from this fluid to this plate. This is by convection. Then through this plate, it is by conduction, and again another second plate, it is again by conduction, and from this plate to outside fluid or cold fluid, it is by convection. So from this plate to this plate, it is purely by conduction because there is a direct solid to solid material contact. So there is a direct solid to solid material contact, so it is by conduction. And here it is fluid involved, fluid to solid and solid to fluid. That is why it is a convection. So in all, we have uh, what I can say, four components of heat transfer. First is this inside convection, then conduction through this plate one, conduction through plate two, and convection to outside fluid. So in all, there are four resistances, and these can be arranged like this. So R1, uh, the convective resistance of hot fluid, then R2, the conductive resistance of this plate, R3, the conductive resistance of the outer layer of insulating wall, and R4 is the convective resistance for the outside or cold fluid. And the temperature difference, total temperature difference is T1 to T5 delta T, which is covering the all four resistances. And in between temperatures, we can write like this: T2, T3, T4, T5. So this is forming a series combination. Now we can write for this uh, using electrical analogy, heat transfer rate Q equal to delta T upon summation R thermal. Uh, Now summation R thermal is covering all four resistances. So it will be addition of all these four, and delta T will be from T1 to T5, from inside hot fluid to outside cold fluid. So summation R thermal, uh, we can look at component wise. It is R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4, and we will devise each. We will get the expression for each of these components, and then we can add up them together. So R1 is convective thermal resistance of hot fluid. R1 equal to 1 upon HA. Convective thermal resistance we have just seen earlier that it is given by 1 upon HA. Since it is fluid 1, so it is R1 is equal to 1 upon H1 into area. Then R2, this is conductive thermal resistance. It is given by general form, general formula B upon K. Since this is for plate 1, R2 equal to B1 upon K1 into A. B1 is the thickness and K1 is the conductivity of first plate material. Then R3, conductive resistance of second wall. So it is B2 upon K2 into area. And last one is again convective resistance of cold fluid. So it is 1 upon H2 into area. Now for all these four components, one thing is common, that is area is constant or area is same for all. Because if you look at the wall construction, now see this, now heat transfer is occurring in this direction. So area will be perpendicular to the direction of heat transfer. So this will be, uh, we are looking at the cross section, but if you look from the side view, or if you take the cross section of this entire wall, you will find area to be normal to the this normal to the heat transfer. So this is common. Area is same for this because this is because of geometry, because this is a plane wall, so length width remain constant. So area will remain constant throughout. So same area is available for hot fluids, again for cold fluid, and also for conduction. Uh, so area is remaining same in this case. That is why we get a simplified form of equation. So now we can add up all these four resistances, R1, R2, R3 and R4, and by adding that we will get summation R thermal. And if we are given some numbers, so we get some value for summation R thermal, and temperatures are given, so T1 minus T5 can be taken, and if we do this calculation we get the rate of heat transfer through this composite wall. Again, this general equation can also be used for any resistance or any component resistance in the series to find intermediate temperatures. This is another case. Sometimes we are required to find the intermediate temperatures. Heat transfer rate is given, material properties are given, well, other constants parameters are given, and we are asked to find the intermediate temperatures. So in that case, we can use the same equation because this is a series connection. So heat transfer rate Q remains same throughout the all components. So it is same for each and every component, as well as it is same for combination of all those components, all the resistances. So we can further decompose this equation. dq equal to delta T upon R thermal equal to T1 minus T2 upon R1 is equal to T2 minus T3 upon R2 equal to T3 minus T4 upon R3 equal to T4 minus T5 upon R4. Now this is, when we are using this equation, this is applicable only for fluid, hot fluid. So temperature difference we have taken only from for convection. So this is only this is applicable for convective resistance. Uh, this quantity applicable for the conductive resistance of the plate 1. This is for second wall or second plate, and last one is for outside fluid, convective resistance of convection of to outside fluid. In the same way, we can combine any of these four resistances like this. If we consider only first three resistances for this, let's get back to the diagram. Now look at this diagram. Suppose we require to find this temperature T3. So in that case, we will take only three resistances, R1, R2, and R3. Okay. So if we consider only R1, R2, and R3 for calculation, so temperature difference will be T1 minus T4, only this much. So temperature difference will be limited to this. So for this, some equivalent thermal resistance will be R1 plus R2 plus R3 only. In the same way, we can consider this part from R2, R3, and R4. Only this part can also be considered. In that case, temperature difference will be T2 minus T5, and resistances will be R2 plus R3 plus R4. So, so this is possible for only three resistances. In the same way, it is also possible for only two resistances. If we consider only R1 and R2, in that case also we can use the same formula. So delta T will be T1 minus T3, and resistance total resistance will be R1 plus R2 only. Same can be applied to any part. So this we applied for first and second part. The same can proceed to R2 and R3. Same can proceed to R3 and R4. So it depends on the cases or the situations or what values are available. Uh, just just as a general theory, I have put all these equations, but this will be clearly understood only when we solve some problems. So when we see variety of problems and we go on using or modifying these equations, in that case, by doing that exercise only, you will get the clear idea of how this works and how they should be used. So at this point, things may not be that clear, so you should not worry about it when we are going to solve problems, and you will also do some more problems as an assignment. By that, you will exactly get the understanding of this. So then, Q equal to UA into delta T. Uh, Now we are interested to get the formula for U for this case. So UA equal to delta T equal to delta T upon summation R thermal. So UA equal to 1 upon summation R thermal is equal to 1 upon this sum is R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4 in the denominator. Now this A can be taken to the right hand side. So A will go into denominator. So U is equal to 1 divided by this entire quantity. All the calculation is occurring at denominator. Area A will be multiplied to every component here, and for every component you see this 1 upon A is a common term. So 1 upon A can be taken out of all these terms as a common. So 1 upon A into this A, so both cancel out each other. So what remains is 1 upon H1 plus 1 B1 upon K1 plus B2 upon K2 plus 1 upon H2. So U is equal to 1. This 1 is only in numerator, and divided by the entire bracket is in denominator. 1 upon H1 plus B1 upon K1 plus B2 upon K2 plus 1 upon H2. So this is very simple for a composite wall. This is because area is common or area is constant. So that is why we get a simple relation for U. This you can even remember, U equal to 1 upon this. Okay. For a general case, we have considered only two walls, okay, two layers of the solid conduction. There may be three walls also. There may be three walls, four walls, and even three fluids may also be involved. So, according to situation, we have to do the changes in the resistance component or resistance factors, and thereby uh, we may get a different relation for U. So all that depends on what case is given to us or what conditions are given to us. Okay. Now let us see overall heat transfer coefficient U for a composite cylinder. We covered now the case of composite wall. Now let us see the composite cylinder. The composite cylinder can be seen at many places or at many situations. For example, let us say a metallic tube is there and it is carrying some hot fluid. Let us say water is flowing through a metallic tube. Metallic tube may be of steel, cast iron, or copper. And to prevent the heat loss to outside, because the tube is running through the tube is exposed to the outside cold environment, and inside hot fluid is at very high temperature. So, and because of high thermal conductivity of metallic tube, heat transfer will occur by conduction. And to prevent that heat loss, generally it is covered with another layer. The entire pipe is covered by another layer of insulation like this. So this diagram typically shows that construction. This is now see, this is the hot fluid inside the tube, and this is the inner face of the tube. And this is the outer face of the metallic tube. Now, this tube is covered by the layer of insulation like this. So, this outer layer of insulation is also forming a tube. Outer layer of insulation is also forming a concentric tube with with the inside tube. Okay, so uh, the tube material is having conductivity K1 and the outer layer is having the conductivity K2. Now let us say geometrically, inside radius is Ri, inside radius of tube is Ri, and outside radius of inner tube is R2, and the radius of outer layer of insulation or outer layer of this another pipe is R3. So in all there are three radius. One is we can say it is Ri, and R3 can be said to be outermost radius. So Ri, and to avoid any confusion, we can just number them. Ri may Ri equal to R1 like this, and RO equal to R3, and R2 will be the intermediate radius, because for inner tube, inner radius is Ri and outer radius will be RO, and for outer tube, inner radius will be Ri and outer radius will be further R3. So to avoid this I and O inside and outside confusion, we will number them, because uh, the inner tube, the radius of outer radius of inner tube is the inner radius of outer tube. So to avoid this confusion, let us number them: R1, then R2, then R3 in the increasing order. And this outer pipe is exposed to the outside cold fluid. Let us say cold air or ambient air at temperature TO. So hot inside fluid, hot water is at temperature Ti, and the remaining temperatures like inner surface temperature is T1, then intermediate temperature is T2, and outer surface temperature of the outer layer is T3. Okay, now see the fluid temperature and inside tube surface temperature both are different. Ti is higher than the T1. Both are not equal. Ti is different and inner surface temperature is different. And due to such a large temperature difference from Ti to TO, heat transfer is occurring through this composite structure. First, it will be by convection from hot fluid to inside surface of the inner tube. Then from inside surface to outside surface of the inner tube, it will be by conduction. Then again to outer layer, it will be by again conduction, because both are solid materials and in direct contact with each other. and from outer layer to outside fluid it will be by convection. So convection first, then second conduction, third conduction, last convection. So we have four components. So we can set up the equivalent thermal circuit. Inner convective resistance will be Ri. Conductive resistance of first tube is R1. Conductive resistance of outer tube or outer layer is R2, and convective resistance of outer fluid is RO. And temperatures are like this: Ti is innermost temperature, To is the outermost temperature, and in between temperatures are T1, T2, T3. And all these four components or four resistances are in series. So heat transfer rate Q, which is flowing, which is occurring from inside to outside, will be the same for all these components because they are in series. So Q equal to delta T upon summation R thermal, and summation R thermal will be addition of all these four: Ri plus R1 plus R2 plus RO. Now see, Ri is the convective resistance of inside the fluid. Uh, so convective resistance is given by 1 upon HA, 1 upon HA. But here Ri will be given by Ri equal to 1 upon HI into AI. Now see, in this case area will not be constant, or area will not be same for all the layers, because as radius is increasing area will increase, because we are considering the surface area, and surface area of the cylinder is given by circumference into length. Length will be same, length of the entire length of the tube will be same for all layers, but it will be given by the circumference into length. So formula is 2 pi rl, or if we use diameter it will be pi d into l. So surface area of cylinder is 2 pi rl. The same will be used here. Since it is inner radius, inner area will be 2 pi ri into l. So as radius is increasing from inner to outer, so area is going to increase for each every layer as we move from inside to outside. So convective resistance Ri equal to 1 upon Hi into 2 pi Ri into L. Then R1 is the conductive resistance of cylinder 1 or inner tube. We have in yesterday lecture we had derived thermal resistance, formula for thermal resistance through hollow sphere, hollow cylinder or hollow pipe. It was given by ln, that is log of Rho by Ri divided by twice pi KL. Now in this case, this ratio should be outer radius to inner radius. In this case, if you look at the diagram for inner tube, outer radius is R2 and inner radius is R1 or Ri. So this ratio is R2 by R1, and conductivity is K1. So K1 is here. Ln of R2 by R1 upon 2 pi K1 into L. And R2 will be conductive resistance for cylinder 2. You look at the cylinder 2, the same formula will apply. Now inner radius is R2 and outer radius is R3. So the ratio will accordingly, the ratio will have to be changed. So it will be ln of R3 by R2. We have to be very careful about these geometrical parameters while dealing with the cylindrical and spherical problems. Uh, so it is the ratio of ln of R3 by R2 divided by 2 pi K2 into L. Then convective thermal resistance of outside fluid, it will be 1 upon HO into AO. So 1 upon HO into 2 pi RO into L. Length remains same for all because the tube length is same. Then since areas are different, AI is different and AO is different. Obviously AI will be smaller and AO will be larger because of difference in radius. So we will get two values of U, because what we know is UA equal to summation R thermal. The general equation is Q equal to UA delta T equal to delta T upon summation R thermal. So UA is equal to 1 upon R thermal. But here uh, two different areas are there. So thereby we get two different values of U. One will be UI. So it is termed as overall heat transfer coefficient based on inside area AI, and UO will be based on outside area AO. So it depends on which area we use. If we are using AI, we get UI, and if we use AO, we get UO. So UI equal to UI AI is equal to UO AO equal to 1 upon summation R thermal equal to 1 upon the sum of all these four components. So UI equal to, now let us see this for UI and UO separately. First, UI equal to 1 upon this factor into area AI. AI is now taken to denominator. AI, we know it is 2 pi Ri into L, and into bracket Ri plus R1 plus R2 plus RO. Then similarly we can do it for UO. UO equal to 1 upon AO into this factor. This term remains same, only the difference is AO. Now uh, we can solve for UI first. Now see, UI is equal to 1 upon, we are expanding this term and we are putting all the components in this. Basic equation is this: 1 upon 2 pi Ri into L into Ri plus R1 plus R2 plus RO. What we will do is, we will put Ri, R1, R2 and RO, which were obtained earlier. Uh, their formulae will be substituted here, and we will multiply each term by this. We will multiply each term and we will expand this bracket. So first term will be 2 pi Ri into L into Ri. Second term will be 2 pi Ri into L into R1. Third term, subsequently it will be like this. Because of this, what will happen? There will be uh, there will be crowding of all these terms. So uh, you might get confused at the first look, but if you do it step by step, you will be able to understand this. So first is 2 pi Ri into L into 1 upon Hi into 2 pi RIL. So this entire factor cancels out. So this is the first term. Second term is 2 pi Ri into L into ln of R2 by R1 divided by 2 pi K1L. Out of this, 2 pi into L will get cancelled, and what remains is Ri upon K1 into ln of R2 by R1. Third term is this 2 pi Ri into L into ln of R3 by R2 divided by 2 pi K2L. 2 pi L will get cancelled, and what remains is this. And last term is 2 pi RIL into 1 upon HO into 2 pi ROL. Again 2 pi L get cancelled. Then after cancelling out all the common terms, whatever is left is written again. So UI is equal to 1 upon, this entire operation is occurring or happening at the denominator. That is why a big bracket is put here. So one all this cancellation, everything product is happening in the denominator. In the numerator it is only unity, 1 divided by. That we have to remember. Sometimes what happens in the rush of time, this we forget to write this, and we go on doing the calculation, and we do everything in numerator, and we end up with the some wrong value. Okay, so we have to be careful about this. So 1 divided by this denominator, 1 upon Hi. By cancelling out, what we are left with is 1 upon Hi plus Ri into ln of R2 by R1 divided by K1 plus Ri into ln of R3 by R2 divided by K2 plus Ri upon Ro into 1 upon Ho. Okay, and this, for just simplicity, Ri and Ro may be replaced by R1 and R3. So you get UI is equal to, in this form, 1 upon Hi plus 1 upon R1 by K1 into ln of R2 by R1, and so on. So this is just a general procedure to obtain the UI. So as the case changes, this will change. So it is not any standard formula you can directly apply, or even you don't have to remember. What you have to understand or what you have to remember is the procedure, how it is obtained, how these resistance components are obtained, and how these are used to find out the uh, required UI and required UO. Otherwise, you don't have to remember all such a big formulae, because these will change as the case changes. Every case is different, so uh, you cannot remember such a large formulae for each and every case. What you have to do is what you have to understand is the general procedure of how to obtain these values. In the same fashion, we can proceed for composite sphere. Composite sphere, if you look at the cross section, it will look like similar to the composite cylinders case. Again, composite sphere can be thought of some storage device or some storage tank, in the spherical form. Let us say some hot fluid is stored in this inner shell or inner spherical tank, and it is of metal. It is made by metal, and due to high conductivity of metal, heat transfer or heat loss may take place. To cover up this or to avoid the heat loss to the surrounding, it will be covered by another material, insulating material. So this is forming a composite structure. So even though you provide insulation, there is no any perfect insulating material. So still heat transfer will take place. Uh, it will be, of course, some minimum or some minimum value. Then again, the all notations are same as in the case of hollow cylinder. Hot fluid is there at temperature Ti, and heat transfer coefficient is Hi. Inside surface temperature is T1, the intermediate temperature is T2, and the outer surface temperature is T3, and outer fluid temperature is Tu. Outer fluid temperature is Tu. And these are the resistances we get: Ri, R1, R2, and Ro. And these are the geometry. R1 is inner radius, R2 is intermediate radius, and R3 is the outermost radius. We can set up the equivalent thermal resistance like this: Ri plus R1 plus R2 plus Ro, uh, and temperatures are Ti, innermost temperature Ti, outermost temperature To, and in between temperatures T1, T2, T3. And heat flow will be the same through this series circuit. So Q equal to delta T upon summation R thermal. So delta T upon Ri plus R1 plus R2 plus Ro. Now we will obtain every component of this. So Ri is convective resistance. So Ri equal to 1 upon Hi into Ai. Now area Ai will be taken for a sphere. For a sphere, area is given by 4 pi r square. So for inner area, it will be 4 pi Ri square, and for outer surface area, it will be 4 pi Ro square. Uh, so Ri will be 1 upon Hi into 4 pi Ri square. Then conductive resistance of sphere. Again, we will apply the standard formula that we have already derived. Conductive resistance through hollow sphere, that is given by R equal to Ro minus Ri divided by 4 pi k Ro into Ri. Here Ro and Ri are replaced by R2 and R1. So R1 equal to R2 minus R1 divided by 4 pi k R2 into R1. This difference always you have to take a positive, that is larger radius minus smaller radius. So the same way, R2 conductive resistance of the outer sphere, it will be R3 minus R2 upon 4 pi K2 into R3 into R2. Convective resistance will be Ro equal to 1 upon Ho into area AO, and so on. And if you put all these four components in the general equation, and again, as area is different for from inner face to outer face, because of it depends on radius, we will get we will get here two factors, two values of u, just like Just like this hollow cylinder case, we get UI and UO. UI will be based on inside area and UO will be based on outside area. So same mathematical operations we have to do, mathematical steps we have to do. Just we did it in case of hollow cylinder, and you obtain, you have to go through all these calculation steps, and you have to go on cancelling out common terms, and thereby you finally get this relation. So I'm not explaining all these steps because these are very similar to the earlier case of hollow cylinder. This you can do as your home exercise. Okay, so finally we get the relations for ui and u in this form. Okay, I think our we are almost, we are past this 11:30. So we will stop our discussion for today at this point, and we are going to carry on from this point onwards in our last lecture that will start at 1:45 p.m. That is our regular lecture as per our timetable. So let me take your attendance, and then you can depart. Just wait for a couple of seconds. Okay, it is recorded. You can leave now. Thank you.